Hi, and welcome back to NDI Central Live, coming to you from the NewTek booth at NAB 2018. We're here on the show floor in the South Hall of the Las Vegas Convention Center, so if you're coming on down, make sure you stop by the NewTek booth to visit us here, say hello. Also, visit the NDI Central Pavilion while you're here as well. Well, our next guest is a longtime user of NewTek products, longtime TriCaster, and a lot of other things. Mark Almaraz of Mobeon, welcome.
Thank you, Rex. It's been a pleasure being here, and also I appreciate you inviting us to present at NAB.
Great, glad you could come. Well, first, why don't we tell people about Mobeon?
Well, Mobeon is an interactive media agency as well as a production company. We have offices in Santa Monica and also in Hawthorne. We have a unique background in that, and it actually comes from me. I'm one of the founders. I myself started off as a computer hacker at the age of 12. And developed some skills in breaking into corporate systems. I think I guess I could mention some of the things that I did. I used to break into the computer systems of some famous restaurants and set their ovens really high and their freezers really low. So after experiencing that mischief, I decided to turn white hat and turn my skills over to creating software and developing video games.
Thank goodness for that.
Yes, yes. and then also I had a love of production at an early age as well. So Mobeon is unique for the fact that we have a video game background as well as a production background, which sets itself apart from a lot of companies that are out there today.
Now, what kind of projects, I know your company offers some kind of unique abilities or in the productions that you do. Why don't you just describe some of the things that you can offer in terms of combining technology and video production?
Well, one of the things is that being, again, a video gamer and also someone with extreme ADD, I want to myself be able to experience content as well as shows and other types of live events with a little bit of more user interaction because, again, I think that comes from my gaming experience. So, you know, we ourselves do, gaming productions for esports and also building studios for gaming companies. But what I want to do was, what I set out to do was wanting to integrate gaming technology into live production. So that is something that I am always trying to improve and helping companies communicate better to their audiences. And I feel the best way is to inject that and also integrate that into the live events and live productions for companies. So I'm bringing gaming into enterprise, if you want to.
Any examples of type of experiences that you've offered?
Yes, we actually did several productions for some major companies. One of them that comes to mind is where Acura wanted to combine various technologies from wireless video, wireless audio, multiple camera angles, as well as syncing a real-time video game engine to an actual race. And so it's called the world's first augmented reality race by Acura. You can look for it on the internet. It was very successful, and we were able to stream that live. A lot of companies weren't able to do so. Other competitors tried to do it, and they failed miserably, and they tried to edit it in post and try to pass that off as being live, which to the internet community, that's considered inauthentic. So we were tasked with doing this and being able to deliver it with no takes, with a single take, and it was quite complex because we had an actual car, obviously an Acura, as well as drivers that were, they were various YouTube personalities or television show personalities in these cars. And we had to sync that experience of them driving on an actual course, a physical course, and sync that to a virtual track with a different environment of from snow to also a mountainous environment. So that was something that was very challenging, but we were able to pull it off successfully and bring all that technology together and make it work cohesively.
Wow. Pretty amazing. Were they wearing VR headsets?
Yeah, they're wearing headsets.
So they're driving a car,
yes,
wearing a VR headset,
yes,
around a course
that was tracked and the GPS was connected to a real-time video game engine, Unity, and then also at the same time we had to send wireless audio and video back to our TriCaster 8000.
Wow.
And the TriCaster 8000 was the core of the whole production.
Wow, fantastic. All right, so you're also into systems integration as well.
Yeah, we do provide systems integrations for various companies, some Fortune 500 companies. One of them I can't really mention, but it's one of the largest online retailers, so you could take a guess at that, to companies such as Edmunds and EA Sports, and the list goes on and on. So we've provided our expertise in helping these companies, helping their capabilities in streaming, and making it much more easier to use, and help train them and making sure that they can produce content that is both innovative, engaging, as well as reliable. And that's the problem that a lot of companies are having is, again, as we all know, streaming is very difficult. There's many points of failure, and so we try to take that pain away from them by adding our expertise into our consulting and integration.
Okay. Are you doing a lot of stuff in esports?
Yes, so we do a lot of esports events. We actually are the white label for several major companies and major esports brands, as well as from the publishers to the developers. And yes, we are doing esports events, and I'm finding that market is actually growing substantially because of the popularity of other platforms such as Twitch, and also a lot of streamers. So yes, and then also we do own a company called Dream League. We're shareholders that actually manages esporting events where we could manage all the technical aspects of it, and managing the networks and so forth, and getting the computers and the sponsors, and being able to help companies stream. So we are very involved in esports.
So with all of the work that you're doing in video and computers, NDI Technology is starting to play a pretty big role in what you do, I would imagine.
Yeah, so I have a story before I talk about NDI Technology, and it's from my own experience that I want to bring up, is that I travel a lot, and the second home to me is Japan. So I was in Tokyo one time, and I had, just like a regular bumbling tourist, I had a bunch of change in my hands, and I was at the Tokyo station, which is, if you look at it online, I think it's one of the most traveled stations, most crowded stations in the world. So as I was getting my change out to pay for the trains, I accidentally dropped that all over the floor. And I was aghast, and me sitting there realizing, what am I gonna do? Because all these coins just spread apart all over the place, and how was I gonna organize all these different, bring them back to me, and everyone was walking around. But before I could do anything, everybody came to me and deposited every single coin right into my hand.
So people reached down, picked up, and gave you back your change.
From children to grandmas to wives to fathers to businessmen.
Wow.
And in a matter of several seconds, everyone put that into my hands. So what I liken that to NDI is that since there's all these disparate technologies that are out there, what NDI does, it brings it all together into a unified platform where you can see what you have, and you don't have to wrangle and scramble and try to find your way around. It brings it all
together and puts it in your hand.
Into one
What
source.
a great analogy.
Yeah, and because of that, I just because of NDI has saved us in a lot of instances where we had all this different technology, and just by putting it on the network, it allowed us to avoid a lot of headaches, hassles, and a frustration. So.
Wow. So with NDI, are you able to kind of think in terms of being more creative in terms of what you're designing? Does it offer you things that you were unable to do before?
Yeah, absolutely. So what NDI allows us to do, since everything is consolidated and standardized, where it could take any type of video input or sources, it allows us to be a little bit more creative in how to present that in specific situations. For instance, and what I'm pushing for is being able to bring NDI video into video game engines. because of my gaming background, I feel that, again, there's a lot of potential to having NDI as an input as well as an output from, let's say, a Unity engine or an Unreal engine, because of the fact that we could take that video source and maybe texture map it around a 3D object and play live video with that and so forth. But at the same time, we could create graphics and animation and push that back out to the TriCasters.
Interesting.
So that's something that I'm very excited about. We're seeing some other companies as well as ourselves in integrating all these real-time visualizations, data, and animations into their live presentations, which to me is a lot more effective than standard, boring, traditional, events or presentations. I think, and that's where the market is going, because the younger generation, for the younger generation itself, they're requiring a lot more interactivity and a lot more visuals to enhance the experience.
Okay, so rather than the traditional sit down and watch this presentation, it sounds to me like you're going for a more immersive, more, put the participant in the middle of the environment, right?
Absolutely, and I think that's where, again, media is going, because of the fact that, again, it's, there are, don't get me wrong, there is a market for more passive entertainment, but from someone that comes from a background where I always have to have some type of, visuals or some, I always have to have something going on.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking to bring the audience into the experience itself. And any way that you can do that is always a plus.
Very good. What about 4K? Are you getting a lot of call for 4K production?
We are occasionally getting calls, but generally a lot of companies are looking at it right now, and also, believe it or not, bandwidth is an issue in this day and age. Especially America invented the internet, but we still have our, I guess, legacy technology involved, and I'm sorry to say, but a lot of locations do not have ample enough internet to have 4K, and we're looking at 25, 50 megabits per second on up. And so that's always a challenge. But again, for special high-profile events with brands, they're seriously thinking about it and trying to use 4K. And other platforms do support 4K. So it depends on the overall, again, objective of the companies that.
So for what you're doing, it's still more on the horizon. I'm asking that question more and more to kind of get an idea of where people are at with 4K. I mean, because the companies are pushing it out there. Here it is, but it's not quite, it's there, but everyone, I think, is kind of going, well, okay, what do we need this yet? I mean, is it going to work? Or
I would say it'd be great for maybe concerts or other type
big
of
screen.
More
not the small screen.
Yeah, big screen presentations. But one thing though is working. Again, as I mentioned, I work with a lot of cutting-edge companies, tech companies. But dealing with several, with our corporate or enterprise clients, they generally tend to be a little bit more conservative. And so I would say it's not here yet, but very likely it will be here very soon.
It's kind of a slower progression than maybe some of the other technologies that we've seen.
Yes.
Very good. So what's on the horizon? What's your next project? You mentioned you're moving your offices. So
we have a new, I guess, event space / virtual studio in Hawthorne, California. And it's, well, I don't think Elon Musk needs a plug, but it's by SpaceX. And what we're doing is we're in the process. We've just moved, but very soon we'll make an announcement. But we will have a streaming studio that can support VR, MR, again in AR, and we'll have real-time engines available, as well as all the hardware and software. And we'll have practical sets as well as virtual sets.
Wow.
And it's open for other creators to come by. Again, and we're pushing this new technology to, again, take presentations and communications to a different level. And it's something that, it's going to be more of a lab where we could have other thought makers and thought leaders utilize that space to create, the future of new media.
Fantastic. Well, that sounds very exciting.
It is, it is.
Look forward to visiting it myself.
Yeah, please come by once we're finished. Sure, I'd love to have you come by.
Okay, Mark. Well, how would people find out more about Mobeon?
Well, you can visit our site at mobeon.com. We'll be adding more and updating it because, again, this new office space as well as some of the things that we'll be introducing. And then also, I mean, that's the best way to contact us is to visit the site or give us a call or send us an email or contact us via social media.
Okay, so that's mobeon.com.
Yeah, mobeon.com, Mobeon.
All right. Mark, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Yes.
Indeed. Well, Mark Amaris of Mobeon. So stick around. We have a lot more coming up after this. Stick around.